Hey guys, James here. Before we get into the show, just want to give a little shout out to a friend of the podcast, Cosmic Shock Productions. They recently released their first short film called Victim 23. Go check it out on YouTube. The link is in the description. And now on to the show. Hey guys, I'm James, and with me is John.
I'm John.
And we are podcasting today. Trying to, anyway. In this episode, we are going to be talking about a television show that I like quite a lot called Taskmaster. It is a British panel comedy show, and we ended up watching series two or season two for us Americans because it was about 5 episodes long, which normally the other seasons are like 8 or 10, and they're like 40 minutes episodes. Uh, and also, I felt like this episode, the first episode of season two, was a very strong episode. And John has never watched the show before until now. And John, have you ever heard about the show?
I think so. I think I heard someone say that Twitch streamers were watching it and that was their content was them watching it and talking about
Oh
it as
my
they're watching
god,
it. Yeah. And,
that's sad.
but also I think that you actually showed me an episode once. That popped into my head recently. I was like, there was something really familiar about one of these episodes and I think it's cuz you showed me it or at least a clip, something.
I must have shown. I definitely know I've talked to you about it before, and I've most definitely showed you a clip.
Arthel seemed to remember it when I was saying it too, so I think you showed us both. I think it was is that old enough that it was when you lived down here?
Oh yeah, I believe so. I mean, Series 2 happened in 2016?
I think when we went over, one of the last times, I guess, you showed us?
Probably, because I think I moved out 2018?
Okay. But yeah, other than that, it's just never been something on my radar. Those two things I just told you, those are the only two times I've ever heard of it.
Just before we get into the actual make of the show, just very broadly, how much did you love it? Because this is like one of my favorite shows. You know, you and me are somewhat similar. You know.
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't know where you get that we are similar, but I started watching it and almost immediately was like, I have no idea why James thought that this was something for me. I really didn't enjoy the first two episodes. I was just kind of there was parts I enjoyed. There was a lot, there was good things, but
Right.
I was just I'm not into reality shows, panel shows, game shows, anything that's not either a documentary style or just straight up fiction. I just kind of don't care, you know? Um
Okay.
I think that I felt that it was too long to start, but as it goes on it gets better in that way. So in the beginning, I felt like the people didn't really have it was almost like an awkwardness, especially in that first episode of them just sitting there. Like they didn't have
Sure.
that
Yeah.
chemistry that they get later on, but it grew on me. It's just still not something that I think I would go watch myself. Although I did see some of it with Michelle and she liked it, so I probably will end up seeing more of it because of that.
I'm glad your girlfriend has taste. So I guess let's move into like the general makeup of the show. So like I said, it's a comedy British panel show. Generally, there's like five contestants, two hosts. One is the Taskmaster, Greg Davies, and the other one is his assistant, Alex Horn. Alex Horn is the creator of the show as well. And as it's called, Taskmaster, the contestants, who are all comedians or actors or, TV personalities of some kind, are have to perform tasks. But those tasks are pre-recorded before the uh, actual TV recording, where there's an audience, and each episode has a prize task where there's a theme, and each contestant has to bring something that belongs to that theme. So one of the themes was the best dinner party guest. So each contestant had to bring someone to be the best dinner party guest, and the winner would have a dinner party with all those guests.
So you had to get someone that was willing to do that as well. I didn't really think about it when I was watching it. Just
I
like,
mean,
you know what I mean? They can't just show up for the episode. They have to have this dinner party. Or is it just in that moment? Are they doing it on the stage? Like, okay, you're going to go up there and you're going to have the dinner party with them right now.
I
It's probably
I
more that, right?
feel maybe, but I also feel like they maybe actually had a dinner afterwards.
Yeah, but it's probably everyone, not just them. You think?
Oh, maybe. Who knows? Like it's a little hard to say now that you bring it up. I didn't even think about that. The only reason I say that they maybe did have like a dinner party afterwards
Mm.
was one of the contestants decided that Greg Davies would be the best dinner party guest. And Greg Davies, the host, went, "Well, I'm gonna put you last place because I'm not sure if I'm gonna attend. Like, trust me, if I go, I'll be the best one there, but I'm not sure if I'm going." So
Well, before we like keep going, because you keep saying the contestants, why don't you list off the contestants?
sure, all these people are British. So if you don't recognize the names, like John, did you recognize any names here?
I think a couple, or maybe not the names. I feel like I've seen their faces in something before. Like a couple of people. Greg Davies was on Doctor Who at one point, I believe,
Yes.
and maybe Doc
Yes.
Brown was Doc Brown on Doctor Who, or was John someone? I was like, these faces look familiar.
I think Doc Brown might have been on Doctor Who. Like when I was looking him up, I
Yeah.
think like I saw a Doctor Who credit.
Well, that's how I would recognize them. It's not like I've seen their stand-up comedy or something. I've seen them in, like, either
Right.
a small role on a show or something like that. Not, don't know them by name.
But the contestants were Doc Brown, Joe Wilkinson, John Richardson, Catherine Ryan, and Richard Osman. So Doc Brown is like a singer, songwriter, actor, comedian. Joe Wilkinson, John Richardson, Catherine Ryan are all comedians and have been on. I've seen them on other panel shows as well. And Richard Osman is, I believe, a comedian, but is mostly known for like being a TV host or presenter for different British shows. So, were there any for you, John, that you kind of clung to in the beginning?
I mean, easily Joe was my favorite. Like, I just thought he was the funniest. I noted multiple times that he was the only reason I was liking the show up to a point. He's just a clown. Like, he's just funny. I at first I was like, are these people actually funny? Like, I wasn't, finding it that entertaining, but he was always funny. With that said, like, people who grew on me, they are funny. They're all comedians for a reason.
Oh
They
yeah,
they are funny. I just needed to like see them in more situations and also maybe like learn their sense of humor because they're all different. Um
yeah. I would say Joe is definitely more like like you said, the clown.
yeah, he
Like you
he's
can
very
see the humor right away.
it's physical. He's like very dramatic about it, like he wants the attention, it feels like, so he's like bigger in a way. He has a bigger presence. Everybody else is kind of more low key, like maybe a drier humor or something.
Yeah, like I would say for Joe Wilkinson, like the first prize task was bring your most important document. And Joe Wilkinson brought in his marriage license, where he even has this story where he says he told his wife he was going to bring it. She said no, and he brought it anyway. And just the way he was able to like tell it, it was humorous.
Yeah.
He was a joy to listen to.
Yeah. I with him, like, loved him for his comedy, but pretty much almost immediately I was rooting against him because A, he is a clown, but B, that was just the funniest outcome every time. as you
Yeah.
quickly learn. um,
Yeah, he did not do well in the series, just let's just say. He was definitely the one that didn't take the tasks as seriously as some of the others. So like Doc Brown, John Richardson, I would put them as like very much the like straight men of the group. Like they took on the tasks headlong, did the best to their ability in a straightforward fashion. I would say Catherine Ryan was definitely a wild card. Uh, like the more I think about it, I think she might be my favorite throughout. And actually, she has a comedy show on, like a stand-up comedy show on Netflix. I think she has two. I watched one of them. I definitely enjoyed it. I need to watch the second one. And just to also throw it out there, Greg Davies has a stand-up show on Netflix as well, which was really good as well. People should watch those. And then Richard Osman was definitely like the creative one who saw like loopholes in the tasks.
yeah, I guess that is an interesting part. Like, forget about their sense of humor for a second. It's just like seeing them react differently to different situations where not only so Richard, like you said, he's creative. He always thought of the like what is either the easiest way or like just a different way of doing this than what your initial instinct would be, you know? I mean, maybe for him that wasn't the case. Maybe for him that is his initial instinct is these other things, but every time he solved something, I was like I definitely wouldn't have thought of that, you know?
To give an example, one of the tasks was to put these exercise bouncy balls onto a yoga mat on top of a hill. And it was a pretty tall hill, actually, now that I think about it. So everyone else, they grabbed the balls to the best of their abilities, kicking them up the hill, stuff like that. Richard Osman walked up the hill, grabbed the yoga mat, came back down, put it on the floor, and put the balls on top of it. And they had to go to a uh, lexicon. What's the term for someone who knows words? Is it lexicon?
I I don't know.
They went to an expert on words to just be like, did he cheat? And it came back like, no, you could, the way the task was written, you could take that as a way to complete it.
Yeah. And he does stuff like that, you know, every other I feel like, you know, task.
Yes.
And then I mean, I feel like we should do that maybe for each one, right? Like give an example that explains kind of like how they would approach something. So like you said Catherine's one of your favorites. Like one of the things I liked about her is that she had like no shame or fear about like tackling, you know, something a certain way. Whatever was gonna get it done. That she was totally fine. She was just trying to win, you know? So like the thing that comes to mind for me with that is the where they had to order the pizza
Right.
and you have to order the pizza without saying, you know, several words that you need you know, in our mind
Like
to
pizza, cheese, bacon.
pepperoni, like or bacon, that's what it was. It wasn't pepperoni, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't say these words, so you're trying to get the other person to say it so you can confirm it because you want it's whoever gets the pizza delivered the most correctly wins.
Yes.
But she would literally just sit there acting like she was just like dumb and didn't know what these were and trying to describe it in and then once they go like bacon? Yes, oh my god, yes. The thing that melts. Cheese? Oh my god, yes. I totally forgot. You know, like and I was just like I could never do that. Like I would want to kill myself in that situation.
Yeah, I think she was even like, I'm not from here.
Yeah, but she speaks perfect English, so I don't know where you would live that you don't know what cheese
You
is.
forget the word cheese. Yeah. And then also there's like times where there was a task to eat the egg the quickest. Um and she saw it. She's like all the other contestants are boys. So she felt like the fact that she didn't eat it right away, just raw, she just assumed everyone else did that. So she's like, "You know what? I already lost. I'm bowing out. I'm not going to do the disgusting thing." Even though she had a sip of it. It was weird. But she's definitely like, you don't know which way she's going to go. Is she going to go hard? Is she going to go middle? Is she just gonna bow out and be ridiculous about it? I don't know. I love her, and I love her comedy routine as well. The next person I'll mention is Doc Brown. Like I was saying, he was like the straightforward kind of person, and I'll go with the canal task, I guess. They had a shopping cart across this canal, and on their side, they had a bunch of like grocery items, like cans, French bread, stuff like that, and they had to put all the items into the shopping cart. This man fucking starts like tossing these things, trying to get into the shopping cart, and then he jumps into the canal, runs across, jumps over the wall to get to the shopping cart so he can put all the stuff he missed into the shopping cart. And right when he finishes, he looks to the right of him, there's a bridge. He looks to the left of him, there's a bridge. And he's just like, I could have just, I could have ran across the bridge. I didn't have to go through the canal at all. And like, that's how straightforward of a thinker Doc Brown was a lot of the time. Like, to the point where it maybe hurt him, especially getting the best points.
So I guess all we have left is John, and the more I think about it, I have a soft spot for him. Well, it's not because we have the same name, but I feel like if I were on one of these shows, which I don't think I could ever do one, to be honest, I would be more
I
like
want to do
him.
one so bad.
I mean, maybe if you do one, I'll tag along, but I can't be out there on my own. I feel like, um, he reminded me of myself the most just because his anxiety was so clear. Like, you could see it,
Yes.
and I'm like, that's how I would feel. In all these situations, I'd be like, "Oh god, like, I have to do this." And sometimes you just see his face, like, the realization of what he has to do to get this done, and he just wants to die. And then he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." So, like, I'm thinking right now of, like, when they had to impress what was the official?
The mayor.
Oh, yeah, the mayor. They had to impress a mayor. To contrast, like, Catherine came in and did, like, a rap and had a whole suit, and, like, she didn't care, right? For him, he he didn't know what to do. And he shows a picture of, what was it, a pistachio eclair, and I don't know why he did that, but then he realized, I'm gonna have to sing right now. I'm gonna have to do, something like that, perform. And he sings, he puts himself out there. And you could tell it was very uncomfortable for him. It was hilarious though, because then the mayor says something to the effect like the eclair was more impressive or something. But you just see that throughout the thing. Is just his nerves come up and like just be like,
Yeah.
I gotta buckle down and do it. So like, yeah, I have a soft spot for the fact that he did it though. Like he went and he did it and he went for it
Yeah.
sometimes. He really went for it.
It even showed during like where they're recording in the studio. And I think it was the mayor task. He's like, "Wait, are you really gonna show it?" And they're like, "Yeah." So he got up and left, or like acted like he was leaving. Like, I can't watch this because he knows how embarrassing it is.
We did mention Joe, but we actually didn't like give a task example of like
I
what.
I, I have a good one for him. We're gonna have to give him two. One of his best example, and one of his many disappointing examples. Do should we go disappointing or best first?
I would say disappointing first.
Let's go with the nursery rhyme. Uh, so the task was to make like a music video to a nursery rhyme, and the other contestants did wonderful jobs, but Joe did did a farming song. Like, it wasn't like Old MacDonald had a farm, or was it? Pretty much. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, but it was more like there's a duck, and then you would
Oh yeah,
go quack quack or something like
yeah.
that.
It's just like listing the
There's a pig.
yeah, similar.
Yeah. So he just did it monotone. He had Alex the Horn, the Taskmaster assistant, like dress up like the different animals and like go below the scene and come up with like a chicken hat, stuff like that. But he wasn't even singing. This motherfucker. Alex Horn did more work. Just saying. And it was even called out later on. Apparently, he got the song wrong. It's just like,
Yeah,
man,
didn't say the words correctly, didn't sing it, didn't put any like effort into like the actual video. Meanwhile, other people had like fully produced like music videos, or they did like animation
soundtrack.
or stop motion or something like that, or wrote the song themselves.
Yeah.
Um, when you say though, this high point that you're gonna talk about, are you gonna talk about where he still lost in that first one, or like an actual high point?
The only high point I can think of is the potato toss,
So where he still no, that's what I was thinking, and that's in the first episode.
which is
um
why I think this is a strong episode.
no, you know I don't know, like maybe I was just not in the mood to watch it when I watched it, because I did end up rewatching the first episode because Michelle hadn't
Oh,
seen the
okay.
first episode, and I liked it more than when I watched it the first time. um but yeah, that first episode wasn't my favorite initially, but that was my favorite moment the whole
Yes.
series. So
Yes.
the task is that they have to toss a potato into like a hole, but there's a red well, they kept calling it the red green because it's like golf, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
you
it's
can't step on it.
really a carpet.
Yeah, you can't step on it. So, you see all these other people, like they either come up with a way to push it in, or they're tossing it and pulling it back. And oh, that's a funny moment for Catherine as well, though, right? Like she figures that she can lift it from underneath, but then instead
Yeah.
of just doing that the whole way and just placing it, she just used that to get it back and try again.
Well, she respected the game.
That's her claim. I mean, you still moved it. Um, but with Joe, we've seen this drawn out situation with everyone else. Like time is lapsing or whatever. With him, he gets a hole in one, tosses it, goes right in,
Bam. It
easy.
was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and they save him for last, right? And they show that the audience loves it. The other contestants are in disbelief. He's lapping it up. He's like, standing up, putting his arms up, like, of course, like I'm deserving of this basking of praise. Like it's just he's really living the moment. They're praising him, it's just like so good. And Greg Davies goes, I mean, it was so good, we need to watch it again. And so they watch it again and again and again. And each time it zooms in to his foot. And you see that just like the edge of his shoe is on the red green, which you cannot touch. So it's, he didn't do it. You were supposed to not stand on it. And so, but seeing that, like, they let him build himself up again. He's a clown, so he's leaning into it. He's high, like he's high off of this right now. He feels great. It's such a good moment.
Yeah.
And then they
He's saying
just
things like, I did it 15 times right
17. Yeah,
afterwards.
they said, "Oh, you made it look so easy. Did it another 17 times right after." And you just see him get crushed. Doesn't he walk off the set? Like,
No. I think he like, I think he does like stand up and he's like pacing. But the best part was like Greg Davies is like, sometimes isn't fun to be the Taskmaster. And Joe like begs him, please don't take it away from
he
me.
gets on his knees, crawls over to him. But the way he says it too, like again,
He
we've been
means it.
describing him as larger, than life in this way. Like when he's got his comedy going, he's just like playing himself so big. Not only is he on the ground and like very small, but he's like, please don't take it away. Like he's talking meekly, like he's
Begging. Like, oh my God, it's so good.
because this is the task in the episode where what he put up was his marriage license. So if he loses his marriage license.
And it's great. Like, I think it was Greg Davies that's just like, hey man, it's okay. It's not like you're going back to a empty home.
But yeah, that was definitely like his highlight, the highlight of the series. Greg actually gives him a chance in that moment. He says that he'll leave it up to the contestants.
Yeah, and then the contestants made Joe leave the room, and they ended up being split 50-50, where Doc Brown and John Richardson said he shouldn't get it, and the other two, Catherine and Richard, said he should get it.
They just thought it was impressive. Like they were like, if I had done that, I would want the points. That was their thinking.
Yeah. And like I think Doc Brown had the most reasoning to it, which was if you analyze it enough, those like couple centimeters he had, uh if he did the shot exactly the same minus those centimeters, it would have bounced off the rim of the hole. But he said it more lyrically and beautifully, honestly. And so they brought Joe Wilkinson back, and they had to tell him like they couldn't come to a concession. They couldn't
Consensus.
come to a yeah, and that he had to be disqualified.
And what was the way that Greg Davies said it though? Oh, just that he was gonna get no points, right? And then
Yeah,
but then Doc Brown goes, what did he
that's
say? Oh
harsh.
yeah, that's
That's
harsh.
harsh.
But he was the one that gave like the actual reason why he shouldn't get it.
Maybe he assumed he'll get like last place or something, but nah, it was a he broke the rules. It's a disqualification.
Oh, okay.
I agree
I
with
see what you're saying. But still, the way he said it, he knew he was because he knew the audience had just heard what he had just said. And then even John goes like, "Yeah, I mean, we tried." And then he like points over to the other two, the ones that actually tried to get him to get his points.
uh it's and like the best part of that whole moment, it's everyone on stage interacting with each other. Like while the tasks are these fun moments, um they are definitely the on studio recording, I think, is like the best part where you see like this like bond being formed amongst them. Like sometimes you would think like it would be like an antagonizing bond, but really it's just like these motherfuckers made us all do these tasks. We're bonding over this shit now.
So I said my favorite was Joe, but then I was like, oh, now that I think about it, maybe it was John. And then I think originally you were going to go with Joe, but then you were like, well, I don't know, maybe it was Catherine. Do you like when you think of the whole series? Like, do you have like a final pick? You can like, is it Catherine?
You know what? I think it is. Which is funny because I think when I went into the show, I liked Catherine,
Mm,
but she wasn't like my favorite among the panelists. Like I knew John Richardson from 8 out of 10 Cats and stuff like that, and I knew Joe from that as well. So I thought like one of those two, but I like the way Catherine. Uh, she I would say generally she would give like 100% to doing the tasks. Her only detriment is like sometimes she's like rules that as written, like kind of a person.
yeah.
Like the whole respecting the game for the potato toss, stuff like that. Uh, which, but I'm not sure if that is exactly what happened then, or if she just, didn't even think about it at the
Yeah.
moment.
That was more what I felt. Yeah.
But also just the way she tackled a lot of the tasks. Like she didn't even consider like for the egg task, that she could cook it like the other contestants did. Like she was just like, no, I already failed because I didn't just
She just thought that was so time consuming that there was no way they were all going to do it. I don't know that she thought they were all going to, actually eat it raw, but she's like, someone had to have. So then that's what made her go,
yeah.
like, just forget it. Did,
Uh
Richard did actually, though, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, the thing is, they make it, they put her after the people who cooked it because that it was just more funny to show like, oh, you
Yeah.
just thought so
Yeah.
lowly of these guys, and no, they actually went in and like made a meal. um but the fact
Well,
that
Joe did.
but hmm?
Well, Joe made a meal.
But you know what I mean, like they cooked it in some way. but
Yeah.
but with Richard, since he actually did do that, she was right technically. I mean, I guess you could say she could have got some points, instead of going
Yeah.
with nothing, but she was right that she couldn't win the task because someone was gonna just
Yeah.
drink it. When I think about them, I like I said, like I have a soft spot, for John, But I think Joe still just is my favorite. Like when I just think of the funniest moments, he was making me laugh from the beginning when I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy the show at all. And then
Right.
even as I got more into it and liked all the different contestants, he still just he makes it funny. And then again, like I said, after a point, well, actually, I say after a point, but really it was a total flip within the first episode. I was rooting for him, and then I was rooting against him for the rest of the series. That was what I was more focused on. I wasn't even focused on who was going to win. I was focused on how many times can Joe come in last? Like that was pretty much what I wanted to see. So I was just like following him in that way. What about the tasks? Like, well, what was your favorite prize task?
Uh, it would have to either be you know what? I'm gonna go with the dinner party guest prize because that was the most different. The other ones, it's like more bring in an item. That one had like a different it was just different and it introduced like some fun comedy where like John Richardson put up the Taskmaster as the best dinner party guest. Uh Joe fucking brought in this bodybuilder guy. And it's like, how do you know him? We go to the same gym. It's just it was a fun moment, I guess. And then at the end where they're all sitting together because they had all the dinner party guests there. It was fun.
You want to know something funny? Again, I started with, oh, I didn't feel the first episode. I keep going back to the first episode now. I think that prize task was my favorite. The important documents, just because it kind of,
Yes.
especially because Joe put up his marriage license. Not only because it was funny, but I was like, oh, there's actual stakes. You know what I mean? Like they could actually lose something important. Like I mean, I'm sure like the person who wins it just gives it back or whatever. But like the fact that you're putting that out there, like this is what I'm willing to give up. um but like, what were the other items? Like, oh, the two Guinness World Records.
Yep.
Like I wasn't impressed with the Guinness World Records, but it led to like comedy. Like a recurring joke is how short John is, right? So his was for having the like what was the highest altitude like comedy show or something because he did one on a
Yeah.
plane. But then Joe goes, "Well, did anyone else perform with you?" And then, when he like says who else was present, he's like, "Well, they're all taller than you." So like pretty much like any of those people should be the record holder, not you. What was Catherine's and Doc Brown's?
Doc Brown was a like from high school like lyric book
Oh yeah,
I guess he
yeah,
had.
yeah. I thought that was nice. Like that was I like just the fact that he had that.
Yeah. Um and Catherine was I think she brought in like a plane ticket for like a first class plane ride to like it was prepaid and it could go anywhere and it was like a plus one. So it was like a genuine
Yeah,
prize. People would want it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
she got third place, I think.
The other the other one that I liked is similar, which was the piece of memorabilia. So I guess I just like the idea that it's something important to the contestant or they put some thought into it. Like the Guinness World Records ones from the previous one, it's like that's what they were willing to give up. So, they didn't go as hard obviously someone as Joe. Like they're like, "Well, if I'm going to lose it forever, this is all I'm really willing to give up." But like the memorabilia one, I remember John put up the what kind of coin was it? Was it a Roman coin? I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a
yeah.
Roman coin. And I thought it was so cool, but they looked up that it was worthless. Like it wasn't worth anything. You could buy a bunch for like $1 or something. And
Yeah.
and they just kind of like shit on it, even though he like gave a whole story of how he found it and how he thought it was so cool. And they were just like, no, get out of here. It sucks.
The other prize task I liked was the coolest blue item.
Hmm.
Only because I learned that blue can be used for like filthy or
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's probably a better word I can't think of right now.
No, filthy. It's like a yeah. No, it was like a crude thing.
Crude. I
Yeah,
think crude is probably more correct uh where Joe brought in like a sex novel
yeah.
and John brought in this pig magnet um where it's a pig. It's like from some kind of vacation, and he's holding a book. And when you open the book, it's the pig having sex with like two different women,
Mhm.
and it's very graphic. And I'm really glad I paid for the Taskmaster app. Uh, Actually, I did the free trial. I haven't paid for it yet. um, because everything on YouTube is censored or bleeped out in one way or another, while the app is uncensored and great.
I didn't know blue meant that either until that, like I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out how I haven't heard that on like a show, a British show or something. Maybe I haven't. I just didn't know, and it wasn't meaningful enough for me to like go look it up.
Yeah, I feel like I've like heard like some kind of saying that's like, oh, that's a bit blue or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you're right, but I just didn't either. I didn't put together the context clues. Regardless, I didn't look it up. Like I just didn't. It
Yeah.
just didn't matter. Um, and I did watch it on YouTube, but I will say that like if anyone's listening and they want to watch it, just watch it on YouTube because like
Yeah.
you're right. Like they censored it, but there's not much to censor to begin with, so you're not going to be missing really anything, and you get the idea. What was your favorite live shows? I thought that was the weakest part of the
Oh.
series.
Yeah, let me look at this fucking list. I guess the rabbit throw.
Okay. The only thing I remember from that, like again, the live shows are just not great, so not very memorable. Um,
I feel like they are maybe more fun as an audience member.
yeah, I could see that. Like, yeah, being there, you're seeing them, looking kind of ridiculous. But for the rabbit throw, like, John actually like did it. I guess that was one of the, he did it
Yeah.
straightforward, but like he actually was kind of impressive with how many he was
Yeah,
able to catch.
the task was they each had like a hat with like a false top and their hands were cuffed. So they had to like grab these stuffed rabbits, and the way you would assume they would do it was throw the rabbits in the air and then try to catch it with the hats. Uh and John was the only one to actually do that. The others like took the hats off and was like trying to scoop them in.
Yeah. I,
Cheaters.
I will say that again, it's hard to have a favorite live task because they just didn't resonate, especially But since again I was rooting against Joe, one of my favorite moments in a live show was the potato tower that they had to build. So they had to use like
All right.
fries and like all the potato stuff to build something as high as they could. And Joe clearly had the tallest one, and it collapses like right before the end. But I think you pointed out to me that it wouldn't have counted anyways because he was touching it.
Yeah, the task was you can't be keeping your hands on it to keep it structured. And they gave like last like 10 and 5 seconds, and they took a picture at the last second. Uh and all of them were actually holding up their towers except for Doc Brown, I believe.
Yeah, and his was just a mound. He just like kind of
Yeah.
mashed in, and I mean it was smart because he won. It was
Yeah.
sturdy.
I mean, it was like potatoes and like waffle potatoes or something like that, which I was unfamiliar with those.
Yeah, I never heard of that. I never seen that until that.
So for like the pre-recorded tasks,
Well, do
for
you
our favorite
wait before you
ones.
go there? Do you want to do
Uh-huh.
pre-recorded or team first?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. We didn't even mention the team stuff.
I'll say mine first because I actually don't remember every single thing that was made for the Taskmaster. I just remember that my favorite one was because it was just unhinged. It was just ridiculous. Where who was the group even? Like I'm really blanking on that.
For the DIY, well, I mean, the groups are always the same. It's Doc Brown, Catherine Ryan, and Joe Wilkinson, and the other team is John Richardson and Richard Osman.
So John and Richard made a tickle station. And from the very beginning, that's not what it started off as.
No,
But they didn't know what it was from the beginning. It's just almost immediately they tie up why am I blanking?
Alex Horn.
Yeah, Alex Horn, and it's just he just looks like he's like kidnapped. and then they're trying to figure out something around that. And so then they end up building like something that's like a covering for Alex Horn and the person behind him, and they can just tickle him and no one knows what's happening because they're both just in this, contraption. And it's like, what the fuck? So it just made me laugh because what was going on in their brains when they were doing this?
That's a good
And
question.
but the fact that like it was that team too, like John and Richard are the ones that came up with this.
Not only that, like John Richardson was like trying to be like the announcer, but he was putting on a weird accent where some people thought it was like Mexican, a stereotype Mexican. Where I think I told you it sounded more like Russian Mexican to me. It
Yeah.
was weird. It was weird. He was trying to hide his like how he looked because I guess they were also still kind of going with the hostage situation. It was weird. The other group, Doc, Joe, and Catherine, made a tiki bar, which was okay. The probably best bit about that though was the fact that
Joe didn't want to do it.
Joe fucking hated the task, and it's understandably why they were given a bunch of shit that didn't really. It's like the leftovers from IKEA. Nothing really fit together with each other, and they had to use gaffer tape. And they show the first clip where they're like going through the ideas and finally getting to a tiki bar, and then they show the supercut of Joe just being so mad and salty and calling everything horseshit.
Yeah, like they had a montage of him just being upset.
And
And he
it's
multiple
great
times he goes like, does he say like, I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, this is bullshit, right? Like I don't remember what's the exact phrasing. It wasn't that, but like he just kept
he was
saying
like
it.
am I the only one who thinks this is horseshit? Like,
Yeah, I
this is
think yeah,
horseshit,
yeah,
right?
yeah. and,
Something
and,
like that.
and the other two are kind of ignoring him because they're just like, we just want to get this done.
Where Catherine was straight up like trying to come up with something, and Doc Brown was just like following her lead. But like also like the best part was like when they show that supercut. First of all, Joe is laughing his ass off, going like, "I was so angry. I don't know why. I was just so angry." And Doc Brown is there going like, "Oh, when you showed the first time, I just thought you guys cut that out. I didn't. Yeah, no, Joe was mad. Like, I guess he thought like, oh, we were just gonna pretend that didn't happen. This is a happy show. Nope. My favorite team task was the same teams, but they had to bring in a contestant from series the first season. Uh, Josh Wibicum. I'm just gonna call him Josh from now on. And he went on John and Richard's team, so it was 2 teams of 3. And the task was one person was blind, one person was deaf with headphones on, and one person could not speak. And they were each in different what do you call those buildings? Gazebos?
Sure, I don't know. I know what you're talking about, but
They were
if
different
not,
like roof structures,
yeah,
pretty much a gazebo, or like if you ever been to a park where they have like picnic tables and like a
the,
covering, stuff
mhm,
like that. And they were decently put apart from each
yeah.
other, like a good, I don't know, 30 feet, something like that. And the person who could not speak had to tell the deaf person that they needed a potato. The deaf person had to tell the blind person to get a potato, which they had like a basket full of different vegetables and things. And then the deaf person had to guide the blind person from to walk from their structure to the mute person to give them the potato. I like this one a lot because it was a very like detailed thing to do all
Mhm.
at once. And also I kind of like that they brought Josh back for this little cameo kind of thing.
Yeah,
Even though I you didn't know him,
no, I had no
clearly.
idea. But I really liked that task. I was like interested in like how they were gonna do it, and it was easier, I guess, than I thought because I thought like somebody wasn't gonna complete it or somebody was gonna bring the wrong object, to the end. But also, I was thinking about being the person who was blindfolded, and I was like, I would. That's another. I would have anxiety being that person because, like you said,
Yeah.
they're decently distanced. So that's a long time, in my opinion, to be walking. Unless you're already blind and you're just used to it, like that's just like I don't know, like that I want to do that.
Yeah, and it's not like they had like a walking stick or anything.
You just have to
Like I
go off
think
that person's
Josh
voice.
had his arms like outstretched,
Yeah.
and I think it was Richard like telling him like you can go quicker. There's nothing in front of you. It's okay. Keep going. Keep going.
And that task, that team task was in one of my favorite episodes. I thought it was a really strong episode. That had the prize task that was your favorite with the dinner party guests. That had
Right.
the impress the mayor, you know. And then it had that team task and it also had the rabbit live show. So like a lot of the, each part of the show was like one of the stronger parts of the series from that standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was episode 3
Yeah.
for people who didn't watch the show for some reason.
So I guess the only thing we haven't talked about is what is your favorite pre-recorded task, or at least a couple?
Oh
That's
God.
tough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go with a
I
couple.
think if they've changed like each time I've tried to pick. I think it's changed.
The first one I'm gonna go with is they had to talk to a Swedish person who could only talk in Swedish, and they had to ask them like they each had the same list of questions. So stuff like what does your father do, or describe me, and then they have to figure out how he's describing them. And it's a fun one because first of all, Joe hates Swedish people apparently. None of them could speak Swedish. And they were having him like try to act out like these things. I think Richard was trying to have him spell out words, but at first the Swedish person was spelling them out in Swedish, so it didn't even help him. It was a very like fun task. And then Catherine comes in and goes like, "I know a Danish person. It's probably the same thing." Calls them up and was able to actually get a decent translation done.
Well, first off, that is a great task, and again, it's from the first episode, so I think I didn't give it enough credit, when I watched it the first time. But I'm really struggling to pick my favorite task. For like a while, it was also in the first one, which was just that potato task we talked about earlier, just for the comedy, like and the
Yeah.
drama of that moment. But like as far as like the tasks themselves, like I thought the in the last episode, where they had to build the highest freestanding bridge.
Oh, yes, the model like landscape
Yeah.
and yeah.
It was fun watching them do it, but also knowing that there was way better options if they paid attention, or in John's case, just thought about what he just said. Because they had a
S-
boat where it said on the boat in Spanish underneath the table, and he knew that
yeah.
immediately. He turns to Alex and says, "Oh, do you know what that means?" He said it. He said like underneath the table, and then he's like, "Do you know what that means?" And then Alex goes, "Yeah." And then he says, "Good," and then goes back to what he was doing.
Well, he thought the boat was just called Underneath the Table.
Come on, man.
But also like that wasn't the only clue to
No.
that as well. There was like a light switch that if you hit it in front of the table, it said underneath the table. There's above the door frame, it reads underneath the table. And Richard Osman is like
Really
a
tall.
tall motherfucker.
Yeah. In fact, when they show him, it's right behind him in plain view. Like
Yeah.
the advantage would be, so like what they had on the top was like rubber bands and like just stuff that it was tough to make a
Rubber
bridge with.
band, spaghetti, gum,
Right. The matches
straws.
and the matches.
Yeah,
But underneath the table was like actual supplies. They had like glue and like
yeah.
wood and like, they
I think duct tape. maybe.
Yeah, they could make a, legit bridge, easy, strong, There was just funny moments too, like so where Catherine goes, "This is where everyone's gonna see how smart I am," and she can't even complete the task. She had the right idea
So
though. She
bad.
was trying to,
I
make triangles, but the problem was the rubber bands. Like she was trying to use rubber bands.
I
Um,
don't even think that was there were multiple issues, honestly, that I think about it, because she pretty much made 2 pyramids,
yeah,
and then the rubber even let's just say the rubber band was taut. There was nothing to hold down
the
the
yeah, but
pyramids because they were made out of straw.
right, but maybe if she was closer, like maybe if she could make the rubber bands, like maybe if she saw, okay, this is sturdy when I hold it, she would have figured out a way to hold it. But the thing is, it was just such a mess that she was just like, this just isn't happening. But it's funny because like that idea actually, works out not the way she did it, but just like trying to make, I mean, he does arches, not triangles, but when Joe folds the
Yeah,
cards, puts a rubber band, I don't even think he was thinking about it. I think he just did it and then realized what he just did. Because then he
yeah.
says, "There's strength in arches." And
Well, he,
he seems like he made a discovery.
yeah, like, literally, he folds up the playing cards, and then he's, like, feeling them, and he goes like, "There's strength there. There's oh," and then he starts
And it sucks because he actually, I think, makes probably the best bridge,
Yeah,
but doesn't win because John made one where he stuck the matches into the potato to lift it up just that bit higher.
yeah.
But that was great too. It's in a way I was actually kind of hoping he won that one because he finally did something good. But then him losing also was still like perfect at the same time.
He probably still got, like, 2nd place, honestly.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that was that. I think that was probably right now. Every time I think
Yeah.
about it is different, but right now that's probably my favorite pre-recorded task. But another great
Yeah.
one, the contestants minus John had to make tasks for
Oh,
John.
yeah.
So John was the only one not making the task. He just had to do the task that the other contestants made.
And he didn't even know, he just thought these were
Yeah, he just
normal
thought these were the
tasks.
tasks.
Also, I don't think the contestants knew that John was gonna do it. They were just told to make a task
Oh, okay.
and given, like, a
I
rule
didn't remember that.
set.
But either way, it was just hilarious, especially them watching it. Like when John realizes he's the only one doing tasks.
And the way, like, the points were given out was for each John had to guess who wrote which tasks. So each correct answer got him a point, and each person that fooled him would get a point.
He got them all right though.
Yeah. The tasks, just to go through them really quick, were do a makeup tutorial, show your strength, to perform like some kind of classical orchestra or some shit using just your mouth and cheeks, banging your cheeks to make that like popping noise.
He did good on that one.
Yeah, he did great. And the last one was to enjoy the most out of a stand up show from Greg Davies, which that was probably the weakest out of all the tasks.
Yeah. That task was in episode 4, which also was another strong episode. Like I said, the first 2 episodes when I first watched it, right, didn't like
Right.
come together for me. But in the 3rd episode was really strong, and the 4th episode was really strong. So I really started to get more into it. In that episode, 2 other tasks. Well, one, the team task to construct something for the Taskmaster was also in that. But the 2 other pre-recorded tasks were they had to rescue a cat out of a tree and
Mm-hmm.
they had to conceal a pineapple on their person, and I thought those were entertaining. So that was like a really good strength. That was 3 tasks back to back to back that were like really fun
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
watch. Um, with the cat one, it was funny just like seeing them because they were supposed to have the cat unharmed, right?
Right.
But most of them immediately like start hurling shit at the cat to try and knock it out of the tree because they realize it's not a real cat.
The only one who was careful with it was Catherine.
Well, Richard was careful too. He just didn't complete it. He ended up giving up.
No.
Which I thought was a little disappointed actually that Richard on that one. There were so many other. That's the one that you give up on. That was weird.
I wonder how long he was there to begin with. Because if he was already there for like 30 minutes,
Oh, it was 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Then he was there for 45 minutes. And then the thing he made in that 45
Broke.
minutes broke. So he was probably like, hypothetically, I'm spending another 45 minutes to get this fake cat out of a tree.
But why couldn't he just reach and grab it? So damn tall. I think Greg Davies actually says that. He
I
also made jokes about him being tall the whole time. It was either John being
Yeah.
short or Richard being tall or Joe being an absolute clown.
Actually, I think Catherine even made a joke like while doing the task. She's like, "This is so unfair.
Oh,
Richard is just gonna grab the cat right then."
and then the conceal the pineapple was pretty funny too. They chopped it up and just tried to like strap it around themselves. But who was the one that like had a million different places that they put it?
John.
Okay, so John, yeah, and first off, they made jokes again about how could he have it in that many places when he's so small? Like, how much real estate is he really working with? But he just made it, chopped it into so many pieces and put it literally everywhere, so that once you realize it could be anywhere, you'll start guessing everywhere, and it'll lead to more wrong answers. And it actually was correct, right? He won that one, right?
And like to give an example, like places he's put it, like you know how some jeans have that like tiny little pocket where you put like a key or something in?
Yeah.
Like apparently you put one there, but didn't put it in like the right pocket. Another part about that task I liked was we kind of talked about this if Alex was playing this up or not, but while trying to like guess parts on Catherine Ryan, he was just he was having a hard time like indicating to like I guess the breast or the groin. He was just like the front. And Catherine Ryan was just like, can you be a bit more like where in the front? And he was it generally felt like he was like nervous about talking about the female body to the point like even Greg Davies was like, what is with you and the female anatomy? Like, and that does like kind of gets brought up in other seasons as well.
What did Joe do?
Oh, Joe. He chopped it up. I think he ate some of it, but he put it in like this plastic bag and then put the plastic bag like behind like in his pants. And at first it was fine, but then he took a step and he realized first of all, a plastic bag is not like sealed. So it's like dripping out on his butt and that area. And I think he put the majority in there. Like maybe he has like two other places. But
I remember now when he was done and he was walking away, he was like, "Can you please look away?" or something as he like
yeah.
tried to walk.
And he's walking like he shit himself. It was oh my god. I guess the last thing I talk about before we wrap it up is we talk a lot about the contestants, but I also how about we talk about Greg Davies and Alex Horn and their like relationship on stage because Greg Davies is literally the taskmaster, so he gets to decide who gets how many points from 5 to 1 or 0. So for some of the more obtuse ones that can't be calculated with time or something like that, like the buying the pizza one, like because they had to when the pizzas came in, he had to deem if that was close enough to what the order was supposed to be,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And I enjoy Greg Davies because A, he's a funny man, but also he used to be like a school teacher. So he also has that kind of like stern presence to it when he needs it to be. And then there's Alex Horn, who's like the assistant, the administrator. And he's kind of put into this like not so much in this season actually that I think about it, but he's definitely in later seasons, it's definitely like that moment where Alex Horn was asking Greg Davies to be his godfather
Oh yeah, it was so
and
random.
had him sign a piece of paper to be legally his godfather. And Greg Davies was like, so does this mean I have like some control over your life or something? And Alex Horn was like, well, I was thinking maybe presents. And Greg was just like, yeah, you can get me presents. That's fine. It's more stuff like that where, like, Greg Davies is, like, above him in, like, a structural manner kinda thing, like, master to servant kinda thing,
Yeah.
but not weird. And you definitely see that in other series. I think was it this series where one of the contestants, like, cursed out, like, Alex, and Greg was like, "How did you feel being cursed out?"
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
being talked
And
down
Alex
to or
says,
something
"I
like
actually enjoyed it."
yeah, oh, like, first of all, he was surprised, like, Greg even asked him his opinion.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I enjoyed it. It was
I
great."
prefer it actually. Yeah, no, that was
Uh,
this one. It was probably Joe, right?
Probably, or maybe John, like, it's
Oh,
so hard to
yeah, it could have been
remember.
Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely love because, like, while it is, like, the contestants, Alex Horn definitely plays a strong role because he's also there during the pre-recorded tasks. Sometimes he's helping, sometimes he's not helping, and like I said, he's the creator of the show, and in some ways, I think he might be the star of the show, even though, like, the Taskmaster is the ruler of it.
Mhm.
It's a fun dynamic those 2 share.
Well, he came up with
Um
it, right? It was his idea you were telling me?
Yeah, it was originally for, like, a comedy festival. He got, like, a ridiculous amount of friends to partake in, like, the doing tasks. Some of them were like, "Send me a picture of you holding a lemon," and one of them didn't have a lemon, so hold they held up, like, an orange or an egg or something like that. One of the tasks was, "Put the most money in my bank account," or something like that. It was less structured, I think, more like, "Hey, we're a bunch of friends having fun." But he documented the whole thing, and then at the comedies, festival, it was like a slideshow showing, like, these were the tasks, these were the contestants, this is what they did, and, showing, like, the part where, like, someone held up an egg instead of, like, a lemon, stuff like that.
Was that
Um,
recorded? Like, is there a way for me to see that?
it's not great. Um, it's like someone's, like, cell phone
I
recording or
don't
some shit
care.
like
I don't
that.
know, that sounds like, I feel
It's
like
definitely out there.
yeah, I feel like I would enjoy that, actually.
Hey, maybe you, me, Steve, Arthel, we got another person. We'll just do it.
Oh, just do our own?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I'll be. Maybe I'll be the taskmaster or something. I don't know. Or you can be the taskmaster.
No,
You're probably better at judging.
oh, well, yeah, but I wouldn't be good at coming up with the tasks.
uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think we should maybe like wind this down.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Yeah. So like I said, Taskmaster is a great show. It's available on YouTube. Um, you know what? I'll put a link in the description box. Ultimately, I love the show. John, it's growing on you, it sounds
It
like.
is growing on me. I'm gonna yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised, um, like, the more I think back on it, the more like, I find it, like, almost funnier now. Like I said, I don't know, but, sometimes you just watch something at the wrong time.
Well, not only that, like that could definitely be the case. It could have also been like you didn't get it, you know? As the show went on, you understood more, and it actually kind of builds on itself because, like, these inside jokes happen, the comedians get more comfortable with each other, as the episodes go by, so, you know, if you do, let's say, watch series 1 or any other series, y you might now have that understanding to, go into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm probably gonna end up seeing more because Michelle enjoyed it, so,
Good.
maybe it's just gonna be a better experience because, like, talking about it, yeah, I was like, "Well, it was funny." There was a lot of interesting tasks, you know? I definitely I mean, to be true to my initial reaction, at least, just to, just saying how I felt. Episode 3, 4, 5, I got more and more into it. I enjoyed it. I thought, from beginning to end, they were entertaining. And then the first 2 episodes, like you said, maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe I just, didn't have the right mindset or whatever. But
Right.
but talking about it now, like I said, I pulled a lot of things from the first episode. So I'm like, well, damn, that was a good episode, you know? I don't know that I would recommend it yet because, like, I have to watch it. I think when I watch another series, which like I said, I probably will, I'll let you know how I feel about,
Yeah.
watching that one.
But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for listening. If you like us, maybe review us on iTunes, Spotify, or whatever podcasting host you're getting this from. If you like us and want more content, we're actually doing some more YouTube stuff where we been playing Left 4 Dead 2 and Portal 2. We actually played this game called uh fuck.
Democratic Socialist Simulator.
Yeah, which is a really fun game.
I just want to say, like the people who are listening, like make sure you actually like click like on something. You know, some of these video game stuff, like yeah, you might not be interested, but just click it and click like for us, because like you know that might lead it to someone else who would find it entertaining. And
Yeah, or if you know someone who likes video games or any of our topics we do for the podcast, share it with them. Like, let's get more people in here. Let's make me and John be able to quit our
I
jobs.
don't want to talk into a void anymore, James.
It's not a void. You're talking to me, buddy.
I'm saying once we put it out there.
I guess.
No, okay, I shouldn't say that. That's disrespectful
Yeah,
to the people who actually regularly listen, and you know, I thank you guys
like
for
me.
that. You're in it. You don't count.
Agree to disagree. We also have a bunch of social media accounts like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. For if you want to get as much like updates on everything we do, Facebook and Twitter are probably the best places to go there. And Instagram and TikTok will have clips from our various things from now and again. But my life is going to get busy soon, and I'm the social media manager and the editor and all that stuff. So we'll see if I can keep up doing clips. Also, all these things is on a link tree, which you can find in our description. All right. So this was us. You have a great day. Bye.
Bye.